Coming up on CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365, the comeback Cubs rally against the Giants and get blown out in extra innings, plus the umpire. Come on, man. It's a therapy session. Join us next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign up. Giants win 14-5 in extra innings. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Del Mendo hanging up with you late here. And Sarah's running the ones and twos. We're hanging up, hanging out, whatever you want to call it. That was an interesting game, Cody. It was, I don't know if the Cubs had any business really being in the game, but there they were, down 2 in the 9th inning. They never give up. They face adversity. They overcome adversity. They get to extra innings. And then if Presley was everybody in the bullpen was great, except for Presley. And it just was, I don't know if I've ever seen an extra inning. Well, Wrigley Field's never seen one single extra inning like that. 9 runs by the Giants.
Yeah. Well, with this new ghost runner rule and everything, I think that can be why.
Although
anyway.
the ghost runner scored and then 8 more scored after it. He just couldn't get an out.
Yeah, no, I let's just be honest. And this is, do not take this as an excuse. Let's be honest, though. Start an inning with no one on base compared to starting an inning with runners on base. It does change the mentality, but yeah, when you guy don't get he didn't even get an out. It's every ball that was batted off him was a hard hit, was hard contact.
Does one game or one horrific inning like that, because it wasn't like he was walking the bases loaded and then giving up a grand slam and walking them loaded again. Mm-hmm. It was just a constant parade of base runners. Does one inning like that take Presley out of your circle of trust?
Yeah, I think I got to take him out, man. I mean, he didn't even get an out.
He's out of my triangle of trust.
And he didn't generate any whiffs. And I think that's been even though he had been pitching well since mid-April, I think I don't remember how many innings he pitched scoreless.
This one was so ugly.
But yeah, it was pretty bad. Like if you can't even get an out, especially when it was 10-5, it's like, all right, man. Yeah. Like you've already given up the lead. Don't even pitch with pressure anymore. You know, like can you at least finish the inning so you don't have to force Craig Counsell to bring in Caleb Thielbar and waste him? He couldn't do that.
He wouldn't have given up all of those runs had it been a normal relief appearance, because they would have had the quick hook on him. But once you're that far behind, it's like, can we try and save one more pitcher for tomorrow?
Right.
And they couldn't.
He couldn't do it. So if you go through the inning, go through the top of the 11th, it starts with Ramos double. Then Bailey single, makes it 6-5. Brett Wisely comes up, the sack bunt. That moment that gave them that extra run, that it's almost like it's been a decade since that moment happened, because that inning was so long, but
eternity.
I feel like even if Kelly would have been able to catch that ball, I don't think he would have got him. So 7-5 after that. Then he walked. I'm just gonna call him Yaz, Mike Yaz. I can't.
Yastrzemski.
There you go. And then he hit a guy. So you talk about giving up all the hits. The inning was so long. He did walk a guy. He did hit Willy Adames right after, which led to runs, and then just single. And then finally Caleb Thielbar comes in, and I don't really blame Caleb Thielbar for what he did. I mean, he came into such a dirty inning, And I said to you over there, like, yeah, what Presley did was bad, but I think as a whole in this bullpen, I can maybe count on one or two guys. And when I say two, it's just being nice. When I say count on, it's counting on someone to come out of this bullpen with runners on base. I don't know, like in a dirty inning, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who in this bullpen outside of Porter Hodge, and even Porter Hodge has struggled with runners on base when he comes into games. And that's my, if you want my overarching concern here, is, the same thing happened to Merriweather on Sunday against the Brewers in the one game they lost. He came in because Shota got hurt, dirty inning, and got hit around, right? I mean, Presley, he's only come in when there's no runners on base to start games or to start an inning until tonight because he had to in extra innings. Maybe there was a different time that I'm not thinking of. He might have pitched in some of the other extra inning games that they have played and pitched fine, but my overarching concern is just, does this bullpen have anyone that can come in with runners on base? Or do you all have to start the inning with no one on?
Well, I think what you're talking about, though, is specifically the back end of the bullpen when the game is totally on the line, right? Like closing it out, those last two innings. Because in general, you look at today and you say, wow, the bullpen was actually spectacular. They went 5 shutout innings after Colin Ray left the game. You can't ask for better than that.
Right.
They were if they were going to win the game, they were actually the storyline of the game as much as anybody that was going to get the game-winning hit. But when it came down to crunch time and you had to get guys out or the game was lost, that was the problem. And I saw my guy Blake in the chat says he's gone from Stressly to Depressly.
Depressly.
Yeah, I mean, that's Blake's on it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how quickly it turned. It was a great bullpen game until it was one guy who was not great. And that's what makes bullpens so frustrating and stressful for almost every baseball team every single year.
Yeah.
Even when you think you've got a good one, it's always nail biting because they're always generally in high leverage situations, game on the line, and it happens. Now, I don't think they should have won the game anyways.
I agree.
They had chances. Offensively, they had multiple chances late to get a big hit and be the hero. And we talked yesterday when we found out that Shota was going on the 15-day injured list, and it's probably going to be longer than that he's out. And we said, listen, we know that it's going to be difficult for these guys to pitch as well as the Cubs have been pitching because now you've lost Steele, now you've lost Shota, Assad hasn't pitched at all, Wicks is down there struggling at AAA. We said, it might take this offense to carry them through this stretch as much as hero pitcher called up to make that moment, whether it's Horton, whoever it might be. And they had opportunities in this game. They didn't play clean baseball. We'll talk about that later too, but they did have opportunities to get the hits. Happ had an opportunity to get the hit, couldn't get the hit. Seiya had an opportunity to get the hit. PCA had a moment. And I'm not blaming these guys for the loss. They've been spectacular all season. I'm just saying there were moments where multiple Cubs players could have won the game. Now, that said, the comeback was spectacular. And Tucker comes up and you're like, there's nobody else you want up here.
Yeah. That's what I tweeted from
Banged
CHGO
it right
Cubs.
up the middle.
Yeah.
So I don't want to forget the good parts of it because, man, finally Justin Turner batting like 170. Finally Justin Turner gets a hit and helps get the Cubs back into this game, and then Tucker ties it up, but they couldn't get that next hit.
Yeah. And you can blame the ninth inning on not winning the game, at least. If you want to put blame on not completing the comeback in the ninth inning, Ian Happ striking out to make it 2 outs.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens in the ninth inning, it starts off with PCA walk. Then Dansby called out on strikes. He took one right. Maybe it was more on the outside, but it looked like it was down the middle. Looks like he caught him looking for a different pitch. Whatever. Dansby had a really good night outside of that at bat. Carson Kelly pinch hits for Amaya, and he walks. So there's this pitcher on the mound at the time, before the Giants switched him out, he did not have command. And so you had PCA and Kelly on first and second. Mm-hmm. Justin Turner comes up and shoots one to the opposite field.
Really nice hitting.
Right? Really good situational hitting, right? To the right side. And PCA scores on it because he's fast. So it's 5-4, but then Happ comes up and he strikes out in a spot where when you got guys on second and third, if he at least puts the ball in the air, you perhaps get a sac fly or something. And he strikes out, so then it's up to Tucker to, to drive Kelly in, and then he does. But Seiya shouldn't have been coming up with 2 outs. He probably should have been coming up with at least, with less than 1 out. Maybe not if Happ just hits a sac fly and then Tucker's up with no one on, but. I just felt like Happ striking out there. I mean, Tucker bailed him out to at least extend the game, but Happ striking out there sucks. But I would still say bottom of the 10th inning after Porter Hodge didn't allow a run in the top of the 10th inning, which is huge when you have the ghost runner on second base.
All you want to do is hold them to 1 run.
Right. And he did better than that. He didn't allow any runs.
Right.
And in the bottom of the 11th, PCA comes up with, what was it? Bush walked to start the inning, and you already had Seiya on second base. Horner flew out to right field, and Seiya tagged up to move to third. And then so you had a guy at third with less than 2 outs, and Pete strikes out.
Yeah.
And
there were some bad swings. Yeah.
And then Swanson, of course, hits one hard, but right to Matt Chapman. So it's just brutal luck, but also at the same time, like, to me, PCA striking out in the bottom of the 10th was why they lost the game after they came back. Because if you're able to somehow not allow a run in extra innings, that's the other team giving you the game. You know what I mean? And listen, we've raved so much about PCA, and this isn't changing my opinion about him or anything. And I think it was more of a learning moment for him, because you could tell he was up there and wanting so much to win the game that it's almost like he let that kind of dictate him and how he was going to approach the at bat.
I don't want to overthink it. It seemed like he couldn't quiet the game down a little bit. Couldn't quiet down.
He's a little too hyped, and I think he just showed youth there. Yeah. He's been so awesome, and he has been a big part of why they're winning games. So I'm not going to dog on him too much, but to me, this moment is why they lost the game, in my opinion. So
the 10th inning.
Yeah, bottom of the 10th inning.
They had chances, and they also had bad defense in the game and all those other things we can still talk about. Also, in somewhat defending the Cubs hitters in this game and even some of the Giants hitters, can we please just get on with the robot umpires? Every night, don't we just look? We have too much technology now to look at it as fans and go, that's not a strike. That shouldn't be a strike. And I know it's not a perfect science, but bless this poor umpire. He was struggling back there tonight. I know he got hit in the hand, but it felt like every inning you were going, come on, that is not a strike. And Tucker had some too in his at-bats, and it's like, well, he calls it a strike for the Giants. The next inning, the Cubs don't get the same call. It's the same exact pitch.
Yeah, I agree.
It was outrageously frustrating as a fan to watch this, because you could see it unfolding right in front of you, and you were like, I don't think he has an agenda against the Cubs by any stretch of the imagination. I just think he's having a bad night.
Yeah. I felt like the umpire on Sunday was really bad too in the finale against Milwaukee. There were some big moments. The umpire kind of dictated the game. I hear you on some of this.
We're all getting replaced by AI. Why not robots too?
Right. But I think in this particular game, I don't think you're blaming the refs either, but they definitely had some bad moments that didn't help the Cubs. It adds
to the frustration of the night was that the umpire was not good.
Yeah.
Period. Sure. Giants win 14-5 in extra innings. We're going to talk more about it in a second. Let us know in the chat, who do you think is to blame for this game? Is it Presley? Is it the umpire? Is it the offense that couldn't score in the 10th? Was it the bad defense earlier in the game? Let us know what you think. We'll talk more about it in a second. But first, hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. First up, there's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. Then there's the Grand Highlander. Plenty of room. Super comfortable. Great for families and long road trips. Looking for efficiency? The Corolla's got you covered. It's smart and stylish. Need something a little tougher? How about the Tacoma? And finally, the Camry. Sleek, fun to drive, and packed with performance. You could check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. Hey, it's a great time to be a CHGO diehard and upgrade your fandom right now. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we all hang out, talk Chicago sports, and sometimes enjoy a therapy session and so much more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO diehards in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level. All right, just like your favorite team needs a home court, home field, home ice advantage, your home needs a home flooring advantage, and Empire Today can help you out. Empire Today is flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to the big box store, walked around, wandering endlessly through those aisles, staring at the shelves. The big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring might have been selling sinks and toilets yesterday, and they might be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring. They're going to be with you every step of the way. It makes it a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home, get precise measurements taken, and have all your questions answered, so there are no surprises. So schedule a free in-home estimate right now, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, pay attention. You can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. You heard me right. $350 off. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details.
I was reading a lot of the comments while you were reading the ads.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of PCA and a lot of Presley on why they lost the game. I'm seeing some Craig Counsell in there too, and I don't get that one.
Yeah, I don't.
What it like?
I don't
Craig,
know what Presley.
What was Craig Counsell supposed to do?
He went to five relievers.
Yeah, I mean,
all worked until Pomeranz worked, Keller worked, Palencia worked, Flexen worked, Hodge worked.
Right. And before this appearance, Presley had been he'd been solid. He hadn't given up any runs in however many appearances, so I don't blame him for going to him. Merriweather pitched back-to-back days, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah,
Cody.
I don't know.
Cody, let me repeat the names.
Could have pitched him instead.
This is no disrespect to anybody that I'm about to mention, because they were all great.
Yeah.
But if you told me going into the night that Justin Verlander was on the mound for the Giants and the Cubs were going to go with Colin Ray, Drew Pomeranz, Brad Keller, Daniel Palencia, Chris Flexen, and Porter Hodge, I would have said the Cubs got blown out in this game. Instead, Colin Ray gave up 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 earned. The Lee home run, he wasn't terrible. And the 5 guys that came in after that did a great job.
Yeah.
They kept the Cubs in it long enough that they almost won in extra innings. Presley couldn't make it 6. This season, when we went into spring training, I didn't know that Pomeranz, Keller, I didn't know that Palencia, I didn't know that Flexen. Only Porter Hodge out of that group where you're saying, oh, he could be a key part of our bullpen.
Yeah.
Right?
The guys who pitched tonight, yeah.
Even Colin Ray, I didn't expect to be pitching this much.
Yeah. I think if we're going to blame Counsell because they didn't tell Pete to bunt, I mean, Pete could have tried to bunt. What if he gets to 1-2? You still want him to bunt? I don't know. Also,
and he hasn't been a great bunter.
Plus, he's been hitting the ball well.
Yes.
You know, I don't. And if he does bunt, what if he bunts it and it doesn't lead to the run? Are you gonna blame Counsell for that then too? Like, I don't I don't agree. If that's why some people are blaming Counsell, if you would have called for the bunt, it's not even that I think he's bad at bunting either. The guy has been hitting. Why would you
after the first swing
take the bat out of his hands?
After the first swing, to somewhat defend the argument, I would say, well, I did mention maybe you ought to just lay down a bunt here. But
sure.
But that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's especially in a pressure situation. And listen, I don't know if that's the at-bat that cost the game. I really don't. They played sloppy baseball before they ever tied it up. That's why I say, like, we sat down here and we're like, is this a game that I'm going to say we circle it and they gave this game away, or do we circle it and say, kawoosh, flush it down the toilet, send it into the sewer system and worry about it tomorrow for 3 seconds and then move on?
I think that PCA lost them the game after the comeback, but what lost them the game, in my opinion, was probably the fact that Colin Ray wasn't that good, but also the defense didn't help them either.
Birdie had an error.
Yeah.
Bush drops the little pop-up.
Yeah. That one didn't lead to a run, but
it didn't lead to a run, but it's just an example of the way it was going. They had that double play, and it just goes over Bush, and then Nico does some jump throw to second, and Dansby tries to scoop it, and he can't quite scoop it. Yeah. It wasn't clean baseball. Yeah. It wasn't a clean baseball game, period.
And Colin Ray looked, I wouldn't say he looked more like what he was last year, but he didn't look superhuman like he had been looking these first handful of starts.
No, he didn't, but
gave up what? He gave up the 2-run homer to Lee, right?
Yeah.
And
that was probably the big hit before the Cubs tied it up.
He did give up 4 earned. He gave up 5 runs, but 4 were earned.
The flip side is think if you're the Giants and you had Verlander on the mound, you were going against this 6-headed monster bullpen thing that the Cubs had thrown out there, and you had a 4-0 lead and a 5-2 lead, and you led 5-3 going into the 9th inning. Can you imagine how demoralizing it would have been for the Giants to lose that game? That's why I say you always got to look at what the other guy's thinking. And so I don't think the Cubs gave it away. Now, it would have been a signature win and a great comeback, and you would have said, this team is different, this team is different. And I still believe that. I'm excited by the fact that somehow they found a way to get the game tied.
Mm-hmm. But that's kind of how I feel.
So I'm not going to let 1/2 inning that was a complete dumpster fire ruin the whole night, because Keller was good, Palencia was good, Flexen was good, right? Like, Carson Kelly gets that 9th inning walk, keeps doing what he's doing. Miguel Amaya hit a 2-run homer, and you're like, geez, what more can you ask for from these catchers?
Right. Yeah.
They just keep doing it, right? Like, Carson Kelly gets the night off, then he's got to come in and he gets the walk.
Yeah. William Ferris in the chat says, scroll up, Sarah. Cody, I agree with you. Thank you. That Pete has been hitting. However, he's gotten away with swinging at bad pitches.
That's true as well.
Then he really swung too much. I believe this will help Pete be better in the long run. And that's kind of like what I said in the first segment when I brought up Pete striking out there in the 10th. You could tell that the moment kind of got to him. And he's playing with his head on fire right now, and he's playing with a ton of confidence, and he feels like he can do anything. And if I was playing like that, if I had that, if I had been playing like he'd been playing, I would have done the same thing. So I do think that it was a learning moment for him, and we'll see how he responds tomorrow. I'm not going to dog on him too much again, because he's been one of the core reasons why they are this good. So you can argue all you want about them bunting there or not, but it doesn't mean that if he gets the bunt down that they actually win. What if they throw the runner out, right? Like, I'd rather go with the guy who's been hitting the ball really well and just let him try to win the game in that situation. For me personally,
I don't love or hate the decision. It wasn't making that call for PCA to me wasn't necessarily it. Now, I do agree with William that, and I even heard Taylor McGregor talking about this on the radio yesterday, and she's right. He's been so hot that he's been getting away with hitting bad pitches, and eventually, he's going to have to back off that, because when he's not hot, he'll still be swinging at those pitches, and then you're going to get back into a problem. And that's what you saw in that at-bat, right? Just what you were talking about. His confidence is so high that he's almost like, you throw it near the plate, I'm going to hit it. Because the one home run he hit in Milwaukee was not a good pitch.
Yeah.
He just hit it out.
Right, yeah. And if you were able to hit a ball that far, considering where some of the balls he's hit out of the zone, where he's hit them out, it's kind of like, if you're the pitcher, you're like, how did he hit that out, So in many ways, it's a skill, but it's also one of those, again, for a young player, sometimes it can get the best of you. So
now, and don't forget, he did get the leadoff walk in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Which was his first walk since April 18th.
Yeah.
So that tells you he loves to swing away.
Right.
But, if we're all gonna sit here and blame PCA for losing the game with a bad at bat, remember, he should have walked multiple times in the 9th inning based on the umpire calls, and he was patient enough to finally hold out and get it.
Yeah.
And he knew he had to get on base, and he got on base.
His first couple at bats too, he hit the ball hard, but right to gloves.
Yeah.
So I thought he had good at bats tonight. It's just that 10th inning one that was one that I felt like we hadn't seen a plate appearance like that in a while from him. So again, like I said, I'm looking forward to watching him play tomorrow, because you got the quick turnaround. That's the good news, I think, of tonight's loss, is you got the quick turnaround tomorrow, getaway day, got a chance to win this series still. And they kind of just need a rinse from this game, because even though the comeback was fun, like you said, and like we both said, there were many reasons why they were trailing going in the 9th inning, and we would have been sitting in these chairs earlier and doing post game if they didn't have the crazy comeback. But
yeah, in game 1 of this series, the Giants had 4 errors, and the Cubs blew them out. They didn't deserve to win. In this game, the Cubs had 2 errors and probably could have had 3 if you want to just say that's a mistake, or 4, mistake plays that could be called errors or not errors. And they were still in it. That's kind of the amazing thing. So now it's 1-1. I'd like to see a clean baseball game tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
Because these two teams both came into it red hot.
Yep.
The Giants' record was just as good as the Cubs. Justin Verlander, by the way, while he will be a Hall of Famer, he does look older, right? And 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 2 walks. I love the stat that Obvious Shirts put out. PCA was 3 when Verlander made his debut. 3.
2005 is when he made his debut.
And I didn't fact check that, but Joe's always right.
Yeah, and Joe's never wrong. So I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Been in the league for a long time. Yeah. I made a video.
I'll
give credit to the Random Daily Cub Twitter account. He tweeted the lineup today on Twitter
for Verlander's.
The Verlander's first game at Wrigley Field back in June 17th, 2006.
Yeah.
Cubs lineup that day. I just remember the top 3 were Juan Pierre, Todd Walker, and Aramis Ramirez. And I believe as you move down, like Phil Nevin is in there and Jock Jones. Just some real Cubs legends. Ronnie Cedeno.
Ronnie Cedeno.
Cubs legend Fernando Rodney pitched in that game. Do the bow and arrow, right?
Bow and arrow. I was telling you while we were sitting there watching it that I believe that's when it happened. I had a friend in town who was a Tigers fan. The Cubs played the Tigers. It was at Wrigley Field, and we went to the Hancock because they had never been up in a tall building before. We went up there. I think it's got a better view than Sears Tower / whatever you want to call it. And all the Tigers were up there in Verlander, and right away they're like, "Oh, that's Justin Verlander."
They knew. Yeah. Well, another fun fact from that game: Carlos Marmol started.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Cubs were bad that year. Tigers went on to play in the World Series. Let's not talk about
speaking of relievers that could give you Stressley.
Yeah.
Carlos Marmol was either lights out or an absolute heart attack waiting to happen.
He sometimes he'd be Carlos Marlol.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like just like
Carlos, no more.
No more.
No mas.
At the end of it.
We're going to talk more about it in a second, including PCA versus the great center fielder for the Giants. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensaries, your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. They have everything you need to elevate your summer, Luke. They're a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, Wrigleyville, and River North, for example, to the suburbs, and all the way to Champaign or South Beloit at the border of Wisconsin. So if you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. If you're a pro, they got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added daily, expertly curated as well. They know you'll love Cresco and Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that will not break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. And with so many colors available, you're bound to find one in your favorite team's colors. If your shades ever go missing or they take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost and broken replacement program. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. CHGO listeners and viewers, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with the code CHGO. More than 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use the code CHGO today at shadyrays.com. And the sunny weather was out today. I had my Shady Rays on, and we've got some good weather coming up here.
Oh, I know. And if it wasn't so windy, I probably wouldn't have wore a hoodie in here today. But it's a little breezy.
Rode the bike.
Yeah, I think tomorrow, maybe some shorts, T-shirt.
Oh.
For the first time for the year.
Might show us a little leg tomorrow, maybe?
I guess. I mean, I've shown leg on here already, but I've had a hoodie on. I might just wear a T-shirt tomorrow. We'll see. But
it's like.
I am excited to come in here during the day tomorrow. These late night games, man. Or not late night, but just the night games on top of like the crazy late night games we had in April. I'm ready for a nice Wednesday 120.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway. A lot of people thought Seiya was a little too casual. Do want to tell you about another deal that we have coming up, though.
What are they talking about, though?
Crosstown is coming up, you know?
Oh, okay.
I think you don't want to know that?
Well, I do want to know why
what they're talking about.
But let's talk about what you brought
in a second. Ball knower bonus is coming back, guys. Crosstown series next weekend. Buy, pick, and win. Place a $25 order or more at our merch locker, then pick the winner of the Crosstown series next weekend. Is it going to be the Sox or is it going to be the Cubs? That's May 16th to the 18th. If you're right about that selection and you bet and you spend $25 or more at our merch locker, then you win a bonus gift card equal to the value of your entire order. So if you spend $100 on merch and you pick the Cubs and the Cubs win the series, you get a gift card for $100.
That's a great deal. And
if you spend $25 and you pick the Sox and the Sox win, you get $25.
Yeah.
Whatever you spend, if you're right, you get the gift card.
Yeah.
Like now let's say it seems like the Cubs would be a safe bet, but I'm not telling you how to do it.
Yeah, I'm not telling you how to do it either. Because if we say
baseball sometimes.
If we tell you what to do and then it doesn't happen, then y'all are going to blame us. So
Jason R. says the Cubs should trade Presley to the Astros for Cam Smith.
The Cubs should trade for Aaron Judge too.
Let's see.
What was the whole Seiya thing?
Let's go back. They were talking about Seiya up here. The chat wants to know. Tonight we came real close to another Seiya bonehead play, says Ramon, when he waited 6 weeks to go back to second to tag up in the 10th. Unacceptable.
But he did tag
Robbie
up
says,
and get in.
saw that, Ramon. He was a little too casual. The announcers were like, WTF. Evo Wax, but it didn't happen. What are you complaining about? Something that didn't happen? I love it.
And this
guys.
team's been pretty good on the bases this year. So it's, I don't know.
Better than last year.
Yeah. I kind of agree with Evo Wax. Like, why complain about something that didn't happen?
We got plenty to complain about.
Yeah, there's plenty from this game to complain about. Like, of all things, you're going to complain about that? I don't get that. But
listen,
yeah, go ahead.
No, that's all right.
I just think that, you know, as we continue to move along here, and this team off to such a great start, and we're watching a lot of wins, and I'm over here dreaming about PCA being an MVP candidate and enjoying the Barry Bonds, Carson Kelly experience, and Kyle Tucker being Kyle Tucker, and just having the best offense in baseball. As much as I am enjoying this, I'm actually in many ways kind of glad we kind of got a game like this tonight, just because, like, it's just a reminder that this team does have flaws, as good as they are, and as much as MLB is gonna has them in the power rankings. The last 2 weeks, the MLB has had the Cubs top 5 in power rankings. So it's not just me and you sitting here talking about how good this team is. It's kind of thought around the league and thought by other people that don't even necessarily follow the Cubs on a daily basis that, hey, they're really good. They're a really good team. But a game like this, the game like Sunday against Milwaukee, you can see that, yeah, like, as good as they are, they got some holes and they got some stuff to fix. And they're going to have to do that if they really want to take that next step and be a true World Series contender. Even as fun as this season has been so far, I can't confidently sit here and tell you that I think the Cubs are a World Series contender. I need to see more, and obviously they need Shota to be healthy and look healthy once he comes back. And they're going to need to add a starter, because you can't just go a whole season without Justin Steele. You just can't, and have success at least, right? So there's a lot of things to for sure be concerned about and all that if we're really going to look big picture down the road in October. But I'm just going to continue what I've been saying. I'm enjoying the ride right now because this team is fun.
Well, I mean, it's why I keep the reality spray close by, because, yes, there's flaws in the team. And are they a World Series contender? I would say slow your roll on that. Do they look like a playoff contender? Yes, I think they do. Chef Kevin says the Cubs would be 4th place in the NL West as of right now. Yes, but they've had a really good record against that division.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree.
They're not in the NL West.
They're not in the West, and they have played well against the West. They really have. I don't think right now they're actually as good as some of those teams, but they played really well against the Dodgers this year.
Yeah.
They've played well against the Padres, and here come the Giants and the Diamondbacks. So, listen, that's the best division in baseball. We all know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Cubs held their own against them so far this year.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't think that they're fortunate to be in the division they're in. And I think they know that. And I think that's why some of the moves don't happen, because they know they're in that division and they believe, well, you can get to the postseason. And once you get to the postseason, anything can happen.
I just think that conversation is a complete sidebar.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with what we've said about how fun the team is or how good the team is.
100%.
That's a front office conversation.
Yes.
Actually, that's more of an ownership conversation than it is front office.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've seen people complain about Jed with the whole Presley thing. Well, it's like they did try to sign Tanner Scott, and I guess in that case, that's on the front office more than it is ownership, because they just didn't want to give him the extra year. And by the time they decided to give him the extra year, Tanner Scott's like, nah, I'm just going to go to the Dodgers instead. Who should I blame on that? I guess the front office, but also we've talked about it at ends about how ownership seems like, even though Tom said that he expected the team to be at first-tier luxury tax into the season, why are we $30 million below right now? You could have signed Max Fried, right? You could have just said, let's go get Bregman and have that third baseman. What I don't want to rehash this every single time they lose a game. But I am saying that a lot of these things that everyone kind of complains about with this team, it all just kind of points back to ownership to me, at least in for this particular season, it points back to ownership than it does the front office, because we can also flip it like we did last night and talk about all the moves that Jed has made that has brought this team success, like Carson Kelly and Colin Ray and Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, and I don't think we have to do it after every single loss.
I know,
right? Like I
it's
don't
just
want
a lot. There's a lot of it in the chat tonight,
and I know. And Chef is right; they'd still be in fourth place, but they've also played the most difficult schedule in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So you have to factor that in too. Yes, they would be in that spot, but remember, they played very well against that division, which makes it the toughest division. Eventually, those teams are all going to cannibalize each other a little bit, because that's going to be just a gauntlet when they have to play their division games. So I'm not saying the Cubs are better than the Dodgers. I'm not saying the Cubs are better than the Padres. I'm not saying the Cubs are better than the Diamondbacks, but they've played well against them, and they have proven so far that they're better than the Reds, the Brewers, the Cardinals.
Yeah. They've definitely proven that they can hang with them.
Yes.
Like say
and it's early.
You want to sit here, let's just, for the sake of exercise, say the Cubs add a starter, won't even throw the name of the starter out there, but say they add a starter and say they add one or two bullpen arms at the deadline, and for the sake of conversation, Matt Shaw comes back up and is at least a league average hitter with the defense.
Yeah.
You telling me that you don't like that team going up against the Diamondbacks or the Padres or heck, even the Dodgers? Now, I'm not saying they're going to win, but at least have a shot. Do you think that team could hang around, at least hang around? And who knows, because we know how October works. And sidebar to this, I'm not saying that that's how we should always view it. Of course, I'd wish the Cubs would just spend all this money and put themselves in a really good position to always just kind of dominate everyone. But just for what we've seen, for what this offense has done and what this pitching staff has done, if you add some pieces, I do think they can at least hang around with those teams in the playoffs. I do think that they can do that. So
they'll have to find the right piece. Somebody asked me today, what about
based off what we saw
with Showed It Down, what about going and getting Dylan Cease? And I was like, the Padres aren't trading anybody right now. Yeah. Padres are one of the best teams in baseball. So, it got me to thinking today. We were watching Lee hit the home run. We said, well, this guy's pretty good in center field for the Giants. And we were wondering about, okay, so where PCA is off to this hot start. His sample size is smaller than some of the other guys out there. Mm-hmm. There's some pretty good center fielders out there, right? And we did it before the season started. We were ranking players in the National League, trying to figure out where the Cubs players rank. But just in general, you look at the names in the outfield. I know some of them are hurt and some of them are off to good starts, but Jackson Merrill, O'Neill Cruz, Brendan Doyle, PCA, Jung-Hoo Lee, Julio Rodriguez, Michael Harris, Byron Buxton, Cedric Mullins, Evan Carter, Luis Robert. I mean,
Javi Baez.
Dare I say, Javi Baez.
And that's not even like a joke. He's
Elmago's been great.
He's actually having a good season.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for him, to be honest with you.
I don't know where PCA fits into it, because we're talking about a month.
A month and a half.
Yeah.
A month and 6 days into the season. When we did our National League center field rankings before the season,
just the National League,
we said that Jackson Merrill was the best center fielder in baseball.
Probably still true. He's hurt right now.
He is hurt, but yeah, when he has played this year, I mean, he's his slash line right now while he's on the injured list, and this is in 41 plate appearances, so it's a very small sample. 378, 415, 676 with a 200 WRC plus. So
would you trade?
He was hitting well before he got hurt.
Straight up, would you trade Jackson Merrill for PCA? If I were the Cubs, I'd probably say, okay, let's do it. Now, I don't know why you would necessarily need to make that gamble.
Yeah, but that's one of those, like,
he's a good player.
Merrill probably has the higher ceiling with the bat. But maybe PCA is the better base runner, better defender. But the one thing, as I said last week, related to PCA is now it's like, okay, can you be consistent? Can you be a 120 WRC plus or better for an entire season? My expectation coming into the year was somewhere between a 110, 120. The dude has like a 140 WRC plus right now. Going in today was 137. That's way better than I expected coming into the year. So, I just for that.
Austin says Merrill was back in play today. Evil Wax says, we could have thrown the bag at Devin Williams for our closer. He's been removed as the closer of the Yankees. Has an ERA over 8.
He's been bad.
Well, the Cubs aren't the only team that, like I said, there's nothing more frustrating than a bullpen.
Right.
Even teams that think they have a good bullpen. This game was not frustrating for the Cubs bullpen until it was.
Right. Well, and also the Giants blew it in the 9th inning.
Yes.
And to be honest with you.
And they have a really good they have one of the best rated bullpens, but they almost blew this game.
Coming into tonight or today, the Giants were number 2 in bullpen ERA. And I don't understand why the Giants did what they did in terms of how they got to the 9th inning. Because the 2 guys before, I think it was Walter, who came in for the 9th, had significantly better numbers than him and better stuff than him. So I didn't get that. And I know Duvall has been their closer in the past and he's had some struggles. It might be time for them to maybe put him back in that 9th inning role. But I don't watch Giants baseball on a daily basis, so I don't understand their situation fully. But I was surprised when Duvall came out for the 8th inning, and then to see who came in for the 9th inning and see that the guy had an ERA over 5, 6 out of 7 in save situations, though. And, it just the overall numbers were not as good as the other guys that had came in. I was like, what's going on here? And then it's almost like they really helped the Cubs in that situation. So it does kind of remind me of the situation with Presley. As I've said, I don't think Presley is the closer, by the end of the year. I don't think he will be. I said that.
I think we both agreed that probably right. I think that's been a popular prediction that eventually Hodge will take over, and that can still be a good thing. It doesn't mean that Presley can't be a valuable piece of your bullpen. We just think eventually Hodge may take that torch and take over the mantle of as Cubs closer. And I would say it's getting closer and closer each time they go out there. We talk about relievers, and like I've said, it's a Pepto-Bismol deal. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. Even Porter Hodge has given you moments where you worry about it, and got me to thinking today, with it being the anniversary of the Kerry Wood game, the 20 strikeouts. And as I was driving in today, I'm like, well, I know that's the most dominant game I've ever seen pitched. It's not even the way that he pitched it. It was like the way the ball was moving from his hand to home plate was like a video game. Yes, he was painting it, but the way the ball, I've never seen a ball move like that except for on a video game. That day, the ball was just like, it looked like he was throwing a wiffle ball in the wind. And some of the best hitters in baseball, the Astros, had no idea what to do with it. It was almost comical. And so you're thinking to yourself, man, couldn't we find, when can we find a guy like that? That's what I want to see my closer have. That's when I'll feel confident. When you have a guy on the mound like Kerry Wood had when he was throwing 20 strikeouts, that's when you'll finally feel confident at the end of the game. So that means never, because you'll never see that again. Because guys almost everybody throws 90-something now.
Unless Mason Miller is coming to the Cubs.
Oh, boy, don't get the chat started. Oh.
I got the chat started with that one. But I don't think he's going to come to the Cubs. And the A's are like 3 or 4 games above 500. They could be buying in July. You know what I mean? But I think there's just a very short list of elite closers in this game right now. And to me, he's probably the best one. And the whole thing with Presley has just been the fact that he doesn't generate enough whiffs. And I think he's a guy who can, in certain situations, he can go out there and get you 3 outs late in the game. And he saved. He didn't even necessarily blow a save tonight. I don't think he's technically blown a save at all this season. He's just had, like, when the moments have been bad, it's been bad.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And when he's had good moments, it's not exactly like, it's still not really necessarily encouraging. The reason that I had him in the circle of trust was just, results. The results were coming. Yeah. He was getting outs. Heck, that one game against the Diamondbacks that we were talking about earlier at Wrigley, that Friday game where Kyle Tucker hit the go-ahead homer in the 8th inning with the wind blowing out and everything. Brian Presley went out there in the 9th inning and got the save, and it wasn't even, like, stressful. You know what I mean? Tonight, can't get.
What did he end up with tonight? 6 runs, 5 earned?
I don't even want to look at it.
I stopped counting after a while. I think it was 6 runs, 5 earned for him in no outs.
Yeah.
It was real tough to watch. Jason says Presley has a 15% K rate. That's not great, Bob.
Yeah.
No, I know, and the metrics weren't going good going into it. We have 2 Toyota Super Chats. Knight 6776 for $5 says DFA Presley. Why did Hoyer get this bum? There is no reason why there is a reason why the Astros demoted him.
They didn't demote him. They traded him.
Well, they demoted him from his closer role last year.
Oh, you mean last year? Yeah. Well, they did sign Josh Hader, who is, for the last 5 to 7 years, he was looked at as one of the best closers in the game. They gave him a lot of money. I would say that, that's probably why they went and got him. But you can go back at the Astros season last year, and they ended up putting Presley back in the closer spot as late in the year, I thought.
I still feel like he can be a valuable piece in your bullpen. Yeah. You're not DFAing and walking away from him, but you might take him out of the closer role eventually. I don't know if his knee's bothering him.
Yeah.
He had the knee was drained not too long ago.
That's a good point.
He's pitched fairly well since then. Rob with a Toyota Super Chat as well says, was this Presley's last game for $2?
I'll be surprised if it is.
No, unless we find out his knee's bothering him again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you mean last game this week? Or do you mean last game ever for the Cubs? That's definitely not happening.
Last game ever.
Yeah, sorry, sir. It's not happening. That's not happening.
To finish my point about the whole thing with the whole thing with Hader, mm-hmm. I know Hader struggled last year for the Astros at certain points too, and I think they gave Presley some opportunities in that 9th inning. I don't follow the Astros on a daily basis, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure all of you will. But it still just comes back to there's just very few closers who are so consistently good on a year-to-year basis. Yeah. But my goal all year has been for Porter Hodge to be the closer. But in this game in particular, though, he didn't blow a save.
No,
just didn't have it.
Jason in the live YouTube chat here at the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, which, by the way, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button for us and tell somebody about it. I know people have had trouble finding it because the algorithm hasn't picked it up and doesn't know what we are yet. But so tell somebody to go ahead and look for it and check out our other content.
That's why we ask you. That's why we ask you to like the video too.
That's why we beg for the likes. Jason says Hodge, Keller, and Thielbar should all be ahead of Presley.
And that's why they came in before Presley tonight in a way.
I could totally get on board with Hodge and Keller being the tandem closers right now. I feel better about them than I do about Presley. The answer is yes. I don't know that the Cubs are ready to make that move, though.
I do think deep down Craig Counsell feels better about the guys that he mentioned in the chat. Yeah. Maybe not Thielbar, but
in his heart, he might know.
But in his heart, I think he does feel better with Hodge and some of the other names. I do think that Daniel Palencia is kind of becoming a dude. But the thing is Craig hasn't used him when the Cubs have a lead. He's only used them when they're trailing.
Yeah. And there's a big difference.
And that's going to take time. Craig did the same thing last year with Porter Hodge for his first couple months. So I don't know what it's going to take for Craig to have more confidence in going to Palencia with a lead or in a tie game. But Palencia is a guy that, he could be a real difference maker if he really, really keeps going in the direction he's going, and he's been awesome. So
Ivy wants to know, do you think Hodge could have handled another inning? tonight, probably, but they also probably would have liked to have gone with less innings for everybody, so in case you need somebody tomorrow, because tomorrow is Ben Brown against Robbie Ray in the series finale. Chance to win the series still.
To bounce off that, the going 2 innings, I don't necessarily know if there's anyone in this bullpen outside of Keller who Craig feels comfortable with going 2 innings with.
Could he? Yes. And yes.
I don't know if Craig does, though.
20K, and I think Eva Wax mentioned that Brazier and Miller are almost back. And, that'll be additions to the bullpen, and hopefully good additions to the bullpen. And you can start to kind of ride the hot hand a little bit. And whether we like it or not, I think with Shota out, you're likely to depend on the bullpen too. I said, yes, to me, it might be the offense that has to carry him, but you're going to see more pressure situations on the bullpen because most likely there's going to be 2 or 3 of the 5 starts. You're going to have a lot of bullpen arms throwing. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to have to, Council's going to have to be really good and really judicious about how he uses the bullpen arms to not overtax what we already think is a
up and down
at times bullpen.
Yeah. It can be good like
some
it
better
was,
than others.
It can be good like it was tonight outside of Presley.
No, it was it was great tonight until Presley.
Right. But we've also seen it be bad. Like, Merriweather was terrible on Sunday, right? So and we saw that game in Arizona where the guys that blew up in that game aren't on the team currently. They're in Iowa, but I would just say they're middle of the pack bullpen right now. They're not elite. I don't think they're bad. I just think they're somewhere in the middle. So, yeah. But Ben Brown, you mentioned his name.
Man, is he going to have to step up, huh? With Shota out, you want names of guys that are going to have to step up. And we've already talked about the possibility of Horton and Flexen pitched tonight in inning, and Flexen's been everything you wanted him to be.
Yeah.
So he got called up. I don't know how long it'll last, but he's been really good. But besides that point, Ben Brown's got to be good Ben Brown. He's got to be way more consistent. And even before Council knew the Shota injury was coming, he kind of called out his young starter, and then the next start was better. So now let's double that. Win the series tomorrow. Ben Brown pitches a really good game. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see 6 from Ben Brown tomorrow. Come off a great start in Milwaukee. And what he did great in that start against Milwaukee is he did not walk dudes. So that's the key for me, is not walking dudes. And then when he gets to that, second, third time through the order, I know a lot of people have concerns considering he basically has 2 pitches. He has a changeup, but he rarely throws it because he doesn't feel comfortable with it yet. But they just desperately need Ben Brown to go out there and be a dude tomorrow. And I think he can deliver a good start tomorrow. Maybe better than good, but this Giants lineup's pretty good. I'm asking for at least 5 1/3, but man, I'd love 6. I'd love 6 tomorrow.
Before the season started, if you'd have said, who are the most likely Cubs to have breakout seasons this year? I would assume that PCA and Ben Brown would be at the top of the list. I know a lot of people want it to be Horton, but I think even maybe more than PCA, some people would have said Ben Brown, because a lot of people think Ben Brown can be that frontline starter, especially if he adds one more to his repertoire. But I still believe it could be a breakout season for him. It's been inconsistent early on, and the Cubs aren't thrilled with it. Mm-hmm. But now he's got opportunity sitting on a platter right here. Shota is down. They desperately need somebody else to go along with their pitchers. They've got to have somebody other than Tyone and Boyd. Yeah. And so Ben Brown, here it is, man. Opportunities on a platter. This is the moment in your career for you to step up, grab it, and take it and become a frontline starter in the major leagues. Opportunities don't get bigger than this, and sometimes you don't get them that often. Yeah. So you got to take advantage of it. And here's a critical game, a chance to win a series against the Giants. Then you have to face the Mets, and then it starts to slowly ease down and get a little bit easier, the schedule. And that might be beneficial with Shota out. But for me, man, keep winning series. So tomorrow's a big game.
Yeah. I agree. So, side note, I feel like I was
going to say, what we didn't talk about, maybe because he didn't get a huge hit late. Dansby 2 more hits, and the whole Red Bull thing is hilarious.
Oh, with Nicky Lopez?
That he's taking a sip of Nicky Lopez's Red Bull.
Well,
and since that's been the reason, allegedly.
Everyone should start taking sips of Nicky Lopez's Red Bull.
I guess.
Yeah, no, he's in the 7-hole tonight, and there were people probably upset that he wasn't in the 8-hole because he'd been hitting well there. And I think anywhere in that bottom 3 of the lineup, that's where Dansby belongs in this lineup. So I'm totally fine with it. Amaya got to start tonight. I expect Carson Kelly to be back in there tomorrow, and just because of the early turnaround. So perhaps Dansby will be back in the 8-hole because Barry Bonds is going to be hitting 4th or 5th in the lineup tomorrow.
Barry Bonds 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. Other side note.
Legally.
Other side note.
Yeah.
And I feel like we would have talked about this more if the game would have ended in the 9th inning because we just would have needed to find something to talk about. Mm-hmm. But we can end it. Flexen pitching in the 9th inning.
I don't know what it means.
Does that basically mean that Cade Horton's going to pitch on this weekend, or is it going to be a bullpen game?
I would have said
against the Mets this weekend and Shota Imanaga's spot.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much the bullpen gets used tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that.
I don't know that they've decided. To be honest with you, I don't know if they fully decided who it's going to be. If you have another game tomorrow, if Ben Brown goes 3 innings. Mm-hmm. And you got to use the bullpen all over again, how could it be a bullpen game? They'll be gassed.
I just think that throwing Flexen out there.
It was interesting.
Yeah, and I
didn't expect to see him
tonight. I believe
he'd
been starting in Iowa, too.
He's not fully stretched out, I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I don't think he's fully stretched out. But he could give you, I'm just guessing,
4 innings.
3-4 innings.
Yeah. He pitched 3 innings on Friday against Milwaukee in that 10-0 blowout. I think he had like 54 pitches. So, today is Tuesday.
Could he give you 3, then Keller 2? But maybe that's what we're starting to see. I think that's part of the reason why counsel tonight was like, well, Presley doesn't have it. We're probably not winning this game. Mm-hmm. I know it's not nice to his ERA, but he's got to stay in there as long as he can. Can he please get us out of this game? And he just couldn't get through. Yeah. Couldn't get an out.
Right. It sucks that they had to use Theobar. But, yeah, so my tinfoil hat, or just if you want me to just guess, I think it's either going to be a bullpen game on the day that Shota Imanaga would have been slated to pitch, mm-hmm. or it will be someone who's not on this current roster and is in Iowa.
Well, if Miller and Brazier are ready to come up, it'd be nice to have a wave of some fresh arms to come up if you're going to do something like that. So we'll see. They haven't announced it yet. Maybe we'll get something on it coming up. But I kind of think it depends a little bit on tomorrow's game.
If they go the bullpen game route, then I would expect Flexen to quote unquote start. And if he can get through the Mets lineup twice, I would guess for Craig Counsell, that's 3 or 4 innings.
And you still have Thursday off.
Yeah. So if we just line it up 3 or 4 innings for Flexen, maybe Keller for 2, and then you hopefully have a lead and you can go with your high leverage guys. Yeah. That would be my guess for this one particular start, and then maybe they call up Horton next week to face the Marlins or the White Sox.
How about a like spike on the way out? Sarah says, how about a like spike? Thanks for checking us out tonight. On the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Tell a friend, tell a family member. Cubs lose 14-5 after they tie at 5-5. In the 9th inning, they get blown out in extra innings. Thanks to everybody that joined us tonight. We'll be back after the game tomorrow afternoon. Series finale, Cubs going for a series win. Let's get it done. Until then, thanks for watching and listening, and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.